They all saw him push me. They watched me fall, and when I lay at the bottom of the stairs, broken and terrified, he told them all the same lie. She's always been so clumsy. This is the story of how I survived. And how the truth finally came out. My name is Maya. For 6 years, I was married to a man named David. To everyone on the outside, we were the perfect couple. He was a charismatic real estate agent, the life of every party. I was the quiet, supportive wife. We lived in a beautiful suburban house with a perfectly manicured lawn. It was a beautiful prison. The man everyone saw was a carefully constructed mask. The man I lived with was a stranger, one whose anger was a quiet, cold thing that could snap without warning. It started small, a cruel comment about my cooking, a tight grip on my arm that left faint bruises he'd apologize for profusely. He'd always blame the stress, and I, desperate to believe in the man I'd fallen in love with, would forgive him. But the incident at the family reunion was the day the mask shattered for good, and my own silence shattered with it. It was his parents' 40th anniversary. The house was packed with his entire family, aunts, uncles, cousins, all laughing, drinking, celebrating. I was in the kitchen helping his mother arrange a platter of desserts. I was carrying a heavy, crystal cake stand, a family heirloom. My hands were a little damp from washing fruit, and as I turned, the stand slipped. It didn't break, but it hit the tile floor with a loud, sickening crack, chipping a large piece off the base. The room went silent for a second. Then David was there. His face, which had been laughing moments before, was dark with rage. "You stupid, clumsy cow," he hissed, his voice low so only I could hear. The venom in it made me flinch. "I'm so sorry. It was an accident," I whispered, my cheeks burning with humiliation. His mother rushed over. "Oh, it's just a thing, David. Don't worry, Maya, we can fix it." But David wasn't listening. He grabbed my upper arm, his fingers digging into the exact spot where a yellowing bruise was still fading. "We need to talk now." He started pulling me towards the basement stairs, away from the crowd. Panic seized me. "David, no, not here, please." We were at the top of the steep, carpeted staircase leading down to the rec room. His family was watching now, their smiles faltering. I tried to pull my arm back, to resist. That was my mistake. His eyes glazed over with a fury I had never seen in public. "Don't you ever pull away from me," he snarled, and then, with a violent, two-handed shove to my chest, he pushed me. It wasn't a stumble. It was a fall. My feet went out from under me. The world became a terrifying blur of ceiling and walls. I tumbled down the entire flight of stairs, my body crashing against each wooden step. I landed in a heap at the bottom, a sharp, white-hot pain exploding in my arm and side. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't scream. For a moment, there was absolute silence from the top of the stairs. Then, chaos, gasps, shouts, and then, I heard David's voice, laced with perfect, practiced concern. "Oh my God, Maya. I told you to be careful on these stairs. Baby, are you okay?" He was already at the bottom, kneeling beside me. But his eyes, when they met mine, weren't filled with concern. They were hard warning. "Don't you say a word." He looked up at his horrified family, who were now peering down from the top landing. "She must have slipped in her heels," he said, his voice trembling with believable shock. "She's always been so clumsy. I tried to catch her," he lied. Right there, with me bleeding and broken at his feet, he lied. And as I looked at the faces of his family, his mother's hand over her mouth, his father's frown, his brother's look of pity, I saw it. Some of them knew. In their eyes, I saw a flicker of doubt, of understanding. But no one said a thing. The family code of silence was stronger than the truth. I was rushed to the hospital. I had a broken wrist and 2 cracked ribs. The doctors and nurses were kind, but when they asked what happened, David was right there, holding my good hand, squeezing it a little too tightly. "She took a nasty fall down the stairs," he said, his voice full of husbandly worry. I was too broken, too terrified to contradict him. I just nodded, tears of shame and pain streaming down my face. But that night, in the sterile, quiet hospital room, something in me broke for the final time. It wasn't my bones. It was my fear. Lying there, listening to the beep of the heart monitor, I realized I had a choice. I could continue to be his victim, to live in this web of lies, and one day, I might not survive the next fall, or I could fight back. The next morning, when a nurse came to check on me, I waited until David had gone to get coffee. I looked her in the eye and said, "Can I speak to you alone?" "And I need to speak to a social worker." It was the hardest, bravest sentence I had ever uttered. The journey out was long and difficult. I filed a police report. David, of course, denied everything. His family, to my devastation, largely closed ranks around him. They called me a liar, said I was trying to ruin his reputation for money. It was a classic, brutal tactic, but I had one thing I didn't have before: evidence. The nurse and the social worker were my witnesses. They documented my injuries and my statement. I also had a secret photos I had taken on my phone months before of the other bruises. The ones I had hidden with long sleeves and makeup. It wasn't much, but it was a start. The police investigation was grueling. But the crack in David's family had started to widen. His younger sister, Sarah, the one who had looked the most horrified at the top of the stairs, reached out to me. She confessed that she had seen him be controlling and aggressive before, but had never known what to do. She agreed to give a statement about what she saw that day, that it was a push, not a fall. It was the corroboration the case needed. David was eventually charged with assault. He took a plea deal to avoid a trial. He lost his job. The perfect facade of his life came crashing down. I, on the other hand, began to rebuild. I moved to a new city. I started therapy to untangle the years of psychological abuse. I found a job, made new friends, and slowly, piece by piece, I reclaimed my life. The physical scars have healed. The emotional ones are quieter now, but they remind me of my strength, not my pain. I tell you this story not for sympathy, but as a warning and a beacon of hope. If you are in a situation where you are being told your reality is a lie, where you are being hurt by the person who swore to protect you, please listen to me. You are not clumsy. You are not crazy. You are not alone. Your life is worth more than his lie. It took a flight of stairs for me to see that. I hope it doesn't take that for you. Find your voice. Tell your truth. Your escape begins the moment you decide to stop falling and start fighting back.